Giovany, Quenda, their star summer signing. Kolo Muani, January loan contact. And will Mason Greenwood be coming back to Manchester United? These are some of the topics we will be discussing on this morning's show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 500 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching today, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Bottom right-hand corner. Completely free content live every single day. Go and do that right now. Okay, let's start the show off by... I want to do a little bit of a preview for the Ipswich game because obviously football is back this weekend. Finally, we have some football to watch. Obviously, it will be Ruben Amorim's first game as the Manchester United manager. And what I want from you is to let me know in the comment section, what are your score predictions for Manchester United versus Ipswich? Let me know in the comment section. I think we're going to win. I mean, I'd be very, very surprised if we didn't win this one. I think... Obviously, the momentum, the feel-good feeling should be there, obviously, with it being our first game. And hopefully, we get that new manager bounce. We got it under Van Nistelrooy, didn't we? I think we won 2 and drew 1, didn't we? Was that right? We drew against Chelsea and we beat Leicester twice. And we won in the Europa League. So, yeah, we won 3 and drew 1. So we already had that kind of new manager bounce against when Ruud van Nistelrooy was here. But I'm expecting to have that new manager bounce again. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see how... Ruben Amorim lines up. We're obviously expecting him to play this 3-4-3, which is what he did at Sporting Lisbon. But yeah, so I want you to let me know your thoughts. What's your score predictions for the game? I'm going to go with... I'm going to go with 3-1 Manchester United. That's my prediction. I think we should comfortably beat Ipswich. Like, when you look at Ipswich's side, they're not particularly great. They're sat towards the bottom of the Premier League. I know they've picked up a couple of decent results in the last couple of games, but before that, they were pretty poor. Obviously, they did just beat Tottenham in their last game away from home, which was a bit of a shock result. But if you look at the fixtures before that, they lost to Brentford, they lost to Everton at home, they lost to West Ham. They haven't had a particularly good start to the season when you look at all of the other fixtures. But they are still a decent side. Kieran McKenna is a decent manager. So... It's not going to be easy, but I still think we'll beat them. 3-1, 4:30 kickoff on Sunday. Really excited for that one. Can't wait to see what Ruben Amorim's style team looks like. And even if we lose that game, as long as I see something different to what we saw under Ten Hag, I won't be happy, but I'll understand, But yeah, I am expecting us to win. But let's move on from that and let's jump on over to the story about... Where should we start? Let's start with Kolo Muani then, shall we? Because the news coming out from French outlets this morning is that apparently Manchester United have made contact with PSG over a January loan deal for Kolo Muani. Now, I like Kolo Muani. I think he's a decent player. Obviously, he was someone we were linked to before we signed Rasmus Højlund. I remember it was not last summer, the summer before. It was either going to be Rasmus Højlund, Kolo Muani, or Gonzalo Ramos, and we went with Rasmus Højlund. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know why, Kolo Muani doesn't really seem to be getting much game time at PSG, which is pretty crazy when you consider that they spent 95 million euros on him, right? And in all competitions this season, he's only played about 400 minutes for PSG, which is hardly anything at all. I don't know why. If there's anybody who watches French football, let me know. Has he been injured? It's quite strange because, you pay nearly 100 million euros for a player for them then to just sit on the bench. Quite strange. But I think I'm just having a look now. I think it is something to do with injuries. Let's have a little look. So this season he has missed... Oh, no. No, it's not injury. I don't know then. Weird. I honestly don't know. Who's like PSG's star striker these days? Because obviously... Let's have a look. PSG have played 11 games in the French league. Obviously, they've played games in the Champions League, and he's only played about 400 minutes total combined. I know someone was telling me a couple of days ago that apparently Luis Enrique plays Asensio as the striker, apparently. So I guess it's kind of like a false nine more than a striker. But anyway, so apparently Man United have made contact with PSG. They've expressed interest in signing Kolo Muani on loan in January. I think if we could get this deal done, it would be really, really clever business. I do really think we need to bolster our attacking options because at the moment, Joshua Zirkzee for me isn't a striker. I think he'll play well in the front three, but not as the number 9. And Rasmus Højlund, I think, is still a project. He's still a developmental player. He's not somebody who's immediately making much of an impact, let's be honest. I know people will say, oh, he's been injured, but he always seems to be injured. He was injured for most of last season. He's been injured for most of this season. He's still very young. He still has a long way to go, but I just think that the great Manchester United sides of old would have had 2 or 3 top strikers. At the moment, we arguably don't even have one. And I know that's maybe a bit of a harsh realisation. I'm not saying I don't like Højlund. I like him. But is he a great striker? Probably not. When you think back to the glory days of Manchester United, at points you'd have people like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as like the 3rd best striker at the club. Our 3rd best striker is Ethan Wheatley, who's like a 17-year-old. Our 2nd best striker is Joshua Zirkzee, who's not even a striker, and he even says that in his own words. And our best striker is Rasmus Højlund, who is still very young, still developing, and seems to be injured most of the time. So, yeah, I think if we can strengthen that attacking line by bringing in someone like Kolo Muani on loan, I think it would be really clever business. And I think obviously for PSG as well, at the moment they've got a 95 million euros asset just sat on the bench, not playing. So if Man United can get this one done, I think it would be really, really clever business. And the other thing as well, which I really like about Kolo Muani, is his ability to play as a centre forward, a right winger, and as a left winger. So effectively, he could play in any of the 3 positions in the front three of a Ruben Amorim style team. Because remember, Ruben Amorim plays his front three all quite inverted. They're all quite close together. They're not wide. So I think, he could operate in any of those 3 positions. So yeah, if we can bring Kolo Muani in, I think it would be really clever business. Obviously, I'll keep you updated on that one as the January transfer window comes a little bit closer. Let's see what people are saying in the chat this morning. What have we got? Morgan says that Joshua Zirkzee is not a finisher. He is more of a facilitator. Yeah, I would agree with that. Ryan says he doesn't want Kolo Muani. Somebody else says we don't need him. I still think we're struggling to score goals. I mean, the argument is maybe Marcus Rashford's going to play as a striker. And if that's the case, then we probably don't need him. But until we actually start kicking the ball on Sunday, or until we actually start playing football, it's very difficult to predict who's going to play in what position, which player is going to play where. Is Marcus Rashford going to get picked? It's very hard to kind of gauge what exactly is going to happen. But I would quite like to see Kolo Muani. I think he's a decent player. I think we definitely need some squad depth in that attacking line. So if that was an option, I would do it. But we'll have to obviously wait and see what the money looks like. Right, let's move on to the story about Giovani Quenda then. So for anybody who doesn't know who this is, it is a Sporting player. We are going to be linked to every single Sporting player that plays at the club. It's just going to happen. It happens every single time we get a new manager. But Giovani Quenda, I think, is probably the most kind of exciting player. Obviously, other than Guy Queiroz, who's the striker. But Giovani Quenda is 17 years of age. He is a right winger, but can also play on the left as well. Very, very talented player. As I said, only 17. Had a really good season so far for Sporting Lisbon. And apparently Manchester United have put him down as the number 1 target for next summer. Price-wise, he has got a release clause of, I believe, 100 million euros. But apparently Sporting Lisbon would be willing to accept something closer to 40 to 50 million euros. Obviously, he is... he's somebody who's come through their youth academy. It would be 100% profit for them. Somebody that Ruben Amorim knows really, really well. I would love to see him at Manchester United. I think he's the exact profile that we're after. An attacking player who's young, hungry. So, yeah. Only 17 years of age as well. Imagine then you've got like Garnacho, you've got Kobe Mainu, you've got Lenny Yoro, you've got Quenda. Like you've got all of these young players who are going to, be the future of Manchester United. So if we can do that, I think that would be a really, really good bit of business. And obviously, when you think last year, we got rid of Greenwood, we got rid of Pellistri, and we got rid of Jadon Sancho. We got rid of 3 wingers last summer, and we didn't sign a replacement. So we do need to strengthen our right wing options, I think, because at the moment, I know we've got Garnacho, I know we've got Anthony, but Rashford, Ahmad, but I still think we need to strengthen that area. So I would like to see Quenda at Manchester United if that is an option. Let's move over to the story about Mason Greenwood really quickly, because I can see people in the chat talking about it. I don't know where this story has come from. It's this, yeah, I can see people in the chat saying, is Mason Greenwood coming back to Manchester United? And I've seen a few people on Twitter talking about it. But I think the likelihood of this is probably zero, to be honest with you. Like, I just don't see how it would happen, you know? Like, we sold him in the summer for 26 million euros. If Man United were to bring Mason Greenwood back, right? Marseille are going to want more money than what we sold him for, clearly. And if the club decided to sell him in the first place because of all the reasons that we don't need to go into, right? Why would they now, a year later, say, oh, we're going to bring him back, we're going to forget about all the reasons why we got rid of him, and we're going to pay more than what we just sold him for? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I think this whole story is very much driven by, you know, people in the fan base who want Mason Greenwood to come back, and they're making up fake stories to try and, like, I don't know what they're doing, to be honest. It's strange. It really is strange. I know he's had a great season at Marseille so far this year. He's got 8 goals and 2 assists in 11 games. So yeah, he's undoubtedly had a really, really good start to his career in France. I would just say this: just leave him alone. Just let him play his football in France. You know, he's got a contract there till 2029. He's scoring goals for fun. Like, why is there this obsession of like, oh, let's bring him back. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I thought I'd bring it into the show. I would say the likelihood of him coming back to Manchester United is probably 1%, in my opinion, right? Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think that there's some big conspiracy and he's going to be back next summer and all the rest of it. I don't believe it. I don't agree with it. I just can't see it happening. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Al says we have a buyback clause. We don't have a buyback clause, mate. I'm looking at the tweet that when the deal was announced, the fee was 26 million euros, and there's a 50% sell-on clause. That's not a buyback clause. A sell-on clause means that if we sell him for, if Marseille sell him for 50 million, right, we would get half of it. That's what's there. There is no buyback clause in the contract. So I don't know where this story's come from. Again, it's probably just been made up by people in the fan base who are desperate for him to come back and are saying, why is he not coming back? There's a buyback clause. Well, there isn't. There's a sell-on clause, which is very different. It just means that we'll get a portion of any money if he is to be sold. So this is the fee that we agreed with Marseille. 26 million euros up front, 5 million euros in add-ons, plus a 50% sell-on clause for Manchester United. That was what was agreed. There's no buyback clause. So we would have to give them more money than what we paid. But arguably, if there's a 50% sell-on clause, I guess we would get 50% of the money, wouldn't we? Does that make sense? If we were to buy him off Marseille, I don't know. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. There's no buyback clause. Let's see what people are saying in the chat this morning. Melchett says it's too early to write off Xerxes as a striker for me. The thing is, right, I'm not writing off Joshua Xerxes as a player. I think in one of those other 2 positions in the front 3, he'll do really well. I'm just talking about a number 9, a goal scorer, a clinical goal scorer. And Joshua Xerxes isn't a clinical goal scorer. You can see that. It's clear as day. And he even says that himself. He says he's a 9.5. You know, we need someone like a Gaio Perez, a Harry Kane, a Lewandowski, a Haaland, somebody whose primary skill is putting the ball in the back of the net. And I know that Højlund is that type of player, but I'm just not convinced that he's there yet, personally. And that's why I thought, you know, if we could bring in another striker, that would be really, really beneficial. Morgan says the circumstances around selling Greenwood haven't changed, so the reality is he won't ever come back. And someone else says, let Greenwood rest. He's not coming back. Yeah, that's how I feel. Someone else in the chat is saying, have a look on Google. It says there's a buyback clause. I mean, let's have a look. I'll have a look for you. I mean, the only place that's put out this story is the Daily Mail, which, let's be honest, most of the stuff the Daily Mail put out isn't very reliable. I mean, they've said the transfer fee is £30 million when it was 26 million euros. So already in the video, already in the title of their story, they've put the wrong transfer fee. They've put the transfer fee as about 10 million euros over what it was. So, yeah, I mean, there's no reliable outlets here posting about this story. It's the Daily Mail, which, let's be honest, isn't that reliable. Goal.com, again, not reliable. One Football, not reliable. Yahoo Sports, not reliable. Like, it's all just clickbait, websites that have put this story in there because they know people in the fan base will want to know this, They'll know that some Man United fans want Greenwood to come back. So yeah, I don't think it's true, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, there's not a single tier 1 journalist or news outlet reporting this story. It's all just the kind of clickbaity tabloid newspapers. But what else have we got here today? Seeing if I got any other comments coming in the chat today. Stefan says, Højlund doesn't get the service. I think once the new system is up and running, we will see a difference. Hopefully. But I mean, that still doesn't solve the injuries that he keeps getting. Unless we are blaming all the injuries on Ten Hag, which maybe we are, I don't know. Because I think for me, it's not me saying that Højlund isn't good enough. I like Højlund. I'm just saying that he is injured a lot and he's still very young. And I don't think we can rely on him as our kind of only striker. Unless Rashford's going to start playing as a striker. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe the front three will be like Rashford, Bruno, and I don't know, Garnacho, or Rashford, Bruno, and Ahmad. Like, it's so hard to predict until we see the starting lineup on Sunday. Maybe Rashford plays as the striker. Who knows? See what else we got. Stefan says, have you got any news on Martinez's injury? No, we are obviously going to have a press conference from Ruben Amorim at 2 p.m. today, so hopefully we'll find out there. Melchett says, what about Chido Obi Martin? He's in the under-21s and deserves a chance. I don't think he's going to be immediately brought into the team, Chido Obi Martin. I think it'll be a little while before we see him. But yeah, Chido Obi Martin will be in the team eventually. Don't worry. He's only, 16, 17? So, yeah. But anyway, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Right, just so everybody's aware, there won't be any videos tomorrow on Saturday as I'm away. I'll be back on Sunday. There will be a match reaction after the game against Ipswich. So no videos tomorrow morning. I haven't disappeared. I haven't gone anywhere. I'm away. I'm in Wales. I'll try and do a video if I can. I'm not sure what the internet connection is going to be like, etc. So I'm just preempting you. Probably won't be a show tomorrow, but obviously I'll be back on Sunday. So yeah, have a great weekend. Have a great Friday, a great Saturday. Don't forget to get your score predictions in the live chat, and I'll speak to you all on Sunday. Bye for now.